think it's easy to look for a scapegoat when your football team's lost, when you've just watched a match, particularly one that you thought maybe you might win. And listen, I'm guilty of allowing myself the hope within the game that we might win. But hey, you know what? I guess the first 4 games of the season undefeated, beating Chelsea, beating Brighton, it'll do that to you. It'll give you a little bit of hope. I think when it doesn't go your way, it's sort of easy to look for villains, be it the referee, the opposition themselves, or, of course, maybe the players in your team that have made individual errors. The truth of the matter is, I think that was probably about as good as West Ham could have done. I do believe, absolutely what I say, to beat Man City, you're going to need everything to be impeccable, the referee to be on your side, and a whole load of luck as well. And we definitely didn't have that. What we did have was a team that played pretty damn well. But I think it's all got to be perfect. What you don't get is, unfortunately, the opportunity when maybe your striker's not playing at his best. Antonio has to be 10 out of 10 for us to win that game, really, in full beast mode. Not blaming it just on him, by the way. You can't have an unfortunate scenario whereby your defensive midfielder, who's really your third centre-back, because that's a lot of the time what Edson Alvarez was, gets an injury and has to go off. I'm hoping it's just sort of... I don't know much about medical stuff, but I'm hoping it's just like a small strain because, well, he's exerted himself a lot. He's done a lot of travel. He's been away for international duty and he's had to rush back and maybe that took its toll on his body. So I'm hoping it's sort of that rather than anything significant or anything serious. So you sort of need those little dings to go for you as well. I think it's very frustrating watching Manchester City. It really is because they are really skillful. They're fast, they're clinical, they're good at what they do, but they're really good at the dark arts as well. So when you are going to launch a counter-attack, there's nothing new. We saw nothing new today. They've been doing it for quite some time. They will fail you. So look, every club will do a tactical foul. It's cheating. Look, we did it during that game as well. Agüero did one. He did a tactical foul. It's cheating. And I think it's hard when it's going against your team and it's not working. I think when they do it as effectively as they do, it's pretty hard. I found myself certainly getting more frustrated with Arsenal over recent years. And there's 2 main reasons for that. Number one is their fans they're online fans. I'm sure you all know an Arsenal fan who's a nice person, but their online fans are pretty unpleasant. And also I think the way Mikel Arteta he's very petulant. He's hard to warm to. I don't think they play ultimately that differently to how Pep plays, but obviously the Man City fans I find online are an awful lot more friendly, and Pep Guardiola seems to be just more pleasant. He's more complimentary. He just seems to be a little bit nicer than Arteta maybe. So I don't know. I think in many respects, I think I've given them a little bit of an easy run, but I have to say I'm sort of a bit sick of them now. I'm sick of seeing them, sick of winning. And I wanted them. I actually wanted them to win the Champions League when they got to the Champions League. I'd much rather, an English club win it. I think I would have found it hard maybe for some clubs to win it, but Man City weren't one of them. I don't mind now they've won it, but I think I'm sort of sick of them romping the Premier League now. I'm just unsure who I want to see them. It's funny. I'm not sure who I want to see them knock off their perch. There's a lot of the clubs that maybe could win the Premier League. I don't particularly want it either. Anyway, but I don't think it's healthy for the league for a club to win it 4, 5, 6 seasons in a row. And I would be hypocritical if I said otherwise, because I am quite critical of the Bundesliga for exactly that. But I do think, looking back, it wasn't City's fouling. They were just better than us. It wasn't the referee, I thought wasn't great. City were just better than us. And I think we got to a point where we were 1-0 and we were lucky to be at 1-0 because they were peppering our goal. Absolutely peppering our goal. But we rode our luck, and in the end, our luck ran out. And our luck ran. There wasn't someone saying that City's goal with Doku when he cut inside was lucky. It wasn't. It was direct and it was skillful. But it was just a very, very hard watch after that. I thought there were some really good, resilient performances, like Emerson. I actually thought Emerson was really good. Thought Paquetá was sensational as well. But in the end, I think pressure just tells, doesn't it? And in the end, they end up getting through. And I found myself frustrated during the game. I sort of got a bit annoyed with a Gerd at one point. Thinking, why does he always do this? But of course, he doesn't always do that. He'd cleared the ball off the line. He defended really well. You know, there was one. These games though are won and lost with small margins, and I didn't. I guess I was probably a little bit too harsh to criticise a Gerd for sort of one mistimed jump, which he'd already cleared a ball off the line. As I say, I was easy. I found myself getting annoyed with David Moyes for bringing Danny Ings on, but then I look at it, what else is he meant to do? David Moyes, what else is he meant to do in terms of he's trying to win the game? He was clearly trying to win the game by throwing another striker on. He was clearly trying to win the game at 1-1 when he brought Saïd Benrahma and Mohamed Kudus on. That was an attacking substitution. Unfortunately, it just didn't work because Man City was so good and they were pushing us back so far that those guys more or less just end up defended. Certainly Kudus. While I watch it was Tony Gale talking about the game, and Tony Gale had said, whose signed book is available in hammerschatstore.com, by the way. He said he was quite impressed with a couple of things that he'd seen Kudus do. And I sort of get it, but they were small glimpses, very, very fleeting, and they were both in our half. He'd done a little dribble, like inside our 18-yard box to get out, so we never saw him up the other end of the pitch. And there was nothing to see. Honestly, nothing to... If you were going to write a report, there's no report that you could really write from an attacking context, an attacking standpoint that would tell you anything about Mohamed Kudus. The person that did manage to find himself in space on a couple of occasions was Saïd Benrahma. Actually, to be fair, no, Kudus did try and do a little bit of an attack, and he tried to play a pass, long-range pass to Benrahma, didn't he? Which was cut out, of course. Saïd Benrahma was able to attack on two occasions, and it just didn't work out. One of them, I thought Benrahma made it very easy for Kyle Walker. So at that point, I found myself disappointed with Benrahma, and I thought, hold on a second, it's Kyle Walker. We saw last season, if you watched the game, Vinicius Junior, who is obviously a Brazilian player, plays for Real Madrid, got to be one of the best players in the world. There was a game last season in the Champions League towards, it might have been a semi-final, I might have that wrong, but whenever it was, I definitely remember watching a game, and Kyle Walker came out on top in that duel. That's how good he is. So sometimes I have to sort of temper it. Okay, well, don't be too disappointed with Saïd Benrahma just because he couldn't get the better of Kyle Walker. Not many can. And I think that sort of feeds into what I was saying, which was, I think we did about as good as we could have done. I really, really do. For us to win that game, everything has to go right. And we probably did have 5 or 6 players maybe that played pretty damn well in that game. So we're not dealing with things where somebody's not playing for the manager or anything like that. 5 or 6 players playing pretty damn well. It's not going to do it. I'm afraid that's just not going to cut it against Manchester City. You probably need 3 or 4 playing exceptionally, and the rest of them playing pretty damn well. And then you might get something, unless you're going to, you know what I'm saying, a bit of luck or something like that, of course. And so I think, whilst I'm disappointed, I was downright grumpy after the game, because as I say, I allowed myself to believe that we were going to win when we were 1-0 up. I started thinking about that league table and stuff like that, which was silly. And you know what? Maybe it was silly, maybe it wasn't. You've got to sort of dream a little bit in this, haven't you? And I sort of was thinking, oh, wow, imagine if we were top of the league and this, that and the other. So, but anyway, look, it didn't happen. And that's by the by. And, I probably should have been a little bit more gracious towards Manchester City, but I just got a bit sick of them, to be honest. And they didn't even do anything wrong. They were just better than us. It was... I don't know if you watch darts at all. There's I think his name was might have this wrong. Peter Manning. Maybe that was his name. It might have been Peter Manning. Was a darts player, and he was around at the sort of time that Phil Taylor was around, and Phil Taylor was winning everything. And I think this guy, I'm not the biggest darts fan, by the way, but I did watch it a little bit back at that sort of time. And as I remember it, Manning got to a final, maybe the PDC World Final or something. And Taylor beat him. And Manning didn't shake his hand. He just went like, just walked off, didn't shake his hand. And he was asked afterwards in the interview, And I asked him, I said, why didn't you shake his hand? That was a little bit rude. It was unsportsmanlike. And I remember him saying, yeah, do you know what? It was. I know it was, and I probably should have been more gracious. Do you know what? No, I'm just sort of fed up. And I think at this point, I don't know. I can't even remember the numbers, but let's say Phil Taylor had won 6 or 7 world titles, maybe even in a row. Couldn't tell you. But he was unbeatable. Nobody could beat him. And man, he was just. Do you know what? I'm just fed up. I'm sure I got his name wrong, actually. But no, not Phil the Power Taylor, the other one. But he was just fed up. Do you know what? Yeah, whatever. And I think I got to a point today where I just fed up with Manchester City. Yeah, they're brilliant. You know. But I thought about Phil Taylor. Yeah, brilliant. But you know what? Right, you know what I mean? I'm just sort of sick of seeing them beat us all the time, really. And there you go. So it gets a little bit frustrating. I couldn't even call it boring. I actually think it was quite a good game. And I haven't looked any Manchester City feedback. I do wonder. I mean, they are a bit of a class act, actually. I think a lot of the Man City fans. It wouldn't be surprised if some of them are saying, well, actually, you didn't play too badly against us. And I'm quite sure Man City will play better than that and win more handsomely than that this season. I think we probably made it quite difficult for them by going a goal up and whatnot. But ultimately, they were just much better than us. They got much better players than us, and you know, and it was really highlighted. Actually, one of them. Sorry, I know I keep waffling, but one of the bits was really highlighted was when Kurt Zouma got into a foot race. If you watched it, was with Carl Walker. And if you look at that back, it wasn't just that Carl Walker outpaced him. Kurt Zouma's broken. I've been saying it for quite some time. You look at him running, he can't run, but there's something wrong with one of his legs. Kurt Zouma's playing broken. He's injured, but he's still such a bloody good centre-half. So you've got to put him in a position where he doesn't get in a foot race. In that point, we've been attacking. They sort of caught us on the counter-attack. And that was that, really. You know, we had to attack. We had to try and get back in the game. No one is really to blame for that. But I did think it sort of highlighted it. Was as good as West Ham are, we still have a central defender in Kurt Zouma who's broken. And that's why he's at West Ham. That's why we're able to sign him. And you know, and another centre-back next to him in Naif Agod, who's really good. Great passer ball, really quick. But he's error-prone. And the truth of the matter is, that's why, because we just can't afford the very, very top guys. And even if David Moyes had got his way and got Harry Maguire, he wouldn't have got £80 million just coming from Leicester City. Leicester City, Harry Maguire. It'd be the broken Harry Maguire. You know, who's had a falling out, who's no longer wanted at Man U, who's had a falling out of his manager, who's not as good as he was. But that's always been the way at West Ham. That's always been the way. And exactly the only reason we got Paolo Di Canio was because he was broken. Not physically, but no one wanted to touch him with a barge pole after I think it was Paul Alcock who was the referee, pushed over. No one wanted to go near him. He'd served a long ban. No one wanted to go near him. Talent-wise, he was there with his peers. He was good as Cantona. He was as good as Zola. I mean, to be fair, I was going to start saying mentality, but, you know, as good as Bergkamp. He did not have the same mentality as Zola and Bergkamp. You know, he was unpredictable. He rarely performed well away from home. Sometimes he didn't even want to get on the coach and play in away games. Basically, he was faulty. He was faulty goods, I'm sorry to say. That's why West Ham got him. Absolutely. And that's why I think we got, you know, some of our players as well. And in the end, you know, I guess it stands up that's Lucas Paqueta was, I thought at times, majestic on that pitch. But one of the reasons we managed to keep Lucas Paqueta is because something went wrong with the betting allegations. Otherwise, he would have been off. He would have been at Manchester City. So, a little bit sobering maybe. Allow myself to get away with it. You know, get a little bit carried away. I think a little bit, we've got put in our place today. And I used to say we used to roll over and have our tummy tickled against Manchester City. Before that, I used to say they used to pull our pants down. And I think that was the case. But I don't think that was the case today. We didn't roll over and have our tummy tickled and say, oh, God, you know, I think we tried. We really, really tried. But I'll give you another analogy, which is being patted on the head and saying, well done. You did okay against us. And I think that's what we may be getting. Well done, little West Ham. You did all right. You know. not enough, not quite good enough. So we've got a long way to go. There you go. But it doesn't mean we're in for a bad season. I'm talking to myself here. I still think we're a good team. I think that's really what I'd like to finish off with. I still think we're a really, really good team. In terms of Man City, who are the best of the best, we're miles away. But let's be fair, looking at that now, it's not just us who have that problem. Everyone else has that problem of catching Man City. It's true now. It was true last year. It was true the year before. It's true the year before that. They are that bloody good. And as I say, for that reason, it just gets a little bit boring and it gets a little bit frustrating. So I'm looking forward to Thursday. Thursday, we get to start our European campaign. That'd be really good. Then it's on to Liverpool, and I'm sort of hoping, I keep my fingers crossed for that one, that Liverpool are a little bit more flawed than Manchester City, and we can have a go at them.